So I wanted to ask what your office might be doing in the future to raise our ranking higher.
Well, I think when it comes to education, anytime you start comparing the United States with other countries, it's very difficult to do. We have a different system. We have our demographics are different. So I don't want to address this ranking at number 9 because I haven't seen the data and I'm not quite sure how that plays out. But as I mentioned in there, I've been working on what I call the Second Chances Act in education to get more people involved in education. My dad went to night schools for 26 years and graduated from college my senior in high school. First one in our family ever to do it. Very, very proud of him, and I know what that takes. Okay.
Yeah, I had a couple questions. First of all, what was the purpose of today's visit with the PVCC students?
Good chance to come by and visit the school. Sometimes live in the shadow of other institutions in this area, and to be able to visit with veterans who are attending this community college, who are using the GI Bill, and to go out and speak a little bit and take questions.
I know that number was mentioned on stage. What was that number of how many people were at?
I can say with certainty that more than 700,000. The number when I was introduced, I think, said 3/4 of a million, but I can, with certainty, more than 700,000 that applied for the GI Bill.
Okay, and but how many? Do you know how many people at PVCC are using it? Was it that number was mentioned by?
102.
102. Thank you. I didn't write that down. Sure. Okay, and this all goes into you want to restore social justice and make things a little more equitable. How does that tie into that?
Well, certainly, if you look at the World War II GI Bill, at the beginning of World War II, I think just a little more than 10% of Americans have been able to go to college. Maybe I think it was 13%. And it was an issue of affordability and those sorts of things. And what we did at the end of World War II is we said, if you serve, then we are going to help you make this leap into the future. And I think this is what we're doing here too. So it does have an element of what I was talking. It has both elements. One is, rewarding service, encouraging military service, but the other is, yes, you now can have. I had several people telling me just an hour ago that they wouldn't have been able to really go full time to school, but had this kind of GI Bill.
Perfect. One more question I had. I was talking to a gentleman who asked you a question in the room over there about his retirement benefits. He was retired from the military. He was saying that he was worried about, with the health care bill and the deficit right now, that those benefits would be cut back, but that he would have to pay more. And I think he said that you were against having to do anything like that. But can you talk about that a little bit?
Well, career military service has been based on a number of, I would say, moral guarantees. And one of those, when people come in, is that they will have health care. If they serve a full period of a career, they will have health care benefits for the rest of their lives. So I think there are ways to go after adjustments in the defense budget without making retirees pay for more TRICARE for life.
Thanks. Okay, we good. You ready? I have to go on the other side.
Other side?
So I'll begin with just, you introduced this legislation on your first day of office. What does it mean for you to do that day one and kind of see it through?
What does it mean?
What does it mean in seeing the impact that it's had on students here and across the country?
Well, there were a lot of people who were saying that since I had just arrived at the Senate that I should take an incremental approach to veterans education, but I've worked for 4 years as a committee counsel in the House. I used to put 25 bills a year through the House floor, so I was able to write this legislation, introduce it on the first day, and then have this larger approach, this entire conceptual approach to education, ready to go. I had something that I could show to my colleagues that was comprehensive in nature. We also were able to take this legislation and use it as talking points with the veterans groups and other people to make sure that we were in line with where their concerns were. We adopted a lot of those situations. It's actually the same approach that we've used on criminal justice reform, writing something, having it down, and working toward a clear objective. And the leadership pattern that I put into place there was to work across party lines to find a consensus of people who really want to govern and who want to convince other colleagues, and we were able to do that in 16 months, which made me feel very good, actually.
Yeah, looking back, I mean, what are some of the proudest accomplishments in your first term so far?
We have been the number one office in the United States Congress in terms of re-engaging properly in East and Southeast Asia, a vital part of this world and vital to the economic future of Virginia. Once the Panama Canal is modernized in 2014, and different kind of cargo ships are going to be coming into Norfolk, we're going to see direct benefit. We're going to see a national security benefit, and we're also going to see a direct economic benefit here. We have been the number one office probably in the entire country on the issue of criminal justice reform, reaching out across philosophical lines. We've met with people from across the country. We've got the endorsement of this legislation from the three major law enforcement organizations all the way over to the ACLU, the Sentencing Project, left to right. And that's taken an enormous amount of work directly out of our staff. You know, I'm proud of everything our staff has done, really. Those are two highlights.
And then looking forward, do you have you made a decision yet for 2012?
We are talking about it, and we'll have a decision before too long.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Did you hear this?
One more about just the House, just your opinion of the House passing the repeal of the health care.
Quite frankly, I think this was much ado about nothing. I mean, we all knew that, we all know that health care reform is not going to be repealed. At the same time, I voted 17 times with the Republicans during the consideration of the bill, and there are plenty of areas where we can make this a much better piece of legislation. I think that's where people need to set aside the sort of the showmanship here and sit down and work on getting a good piece of legislation that addresses the problems people have.
Thanks.
Senator,
Yes.
Governor Allen was in town yesterday, and he's not officially saying anything about running for your seat. But do you have any thoughts? I know you guys are still considering stuff too. But do you have any thoughts about a potential matchup against the governor?
I don't really have any comment on that.
Okay. Great. Thanks.